Today we're going to show you how to make a planing board, or a terminology what we say is a shooting board. Now, what if you don't have a vise like this? What do? Well, if you don't have a vise like this, you can make a jig that looks something like this. This is what we call a shooting board, okay? A shooting board is something that is used to plane a piece of wood, or it's used to hold a piece of wood on top of a table. Now, we all have tables to work from, but we don't have a vise. And sometimes when you go and buy a vise like this, it will cost somewhere around $100 to $150. But you can make something like this very, very easily. Now, let me show you what you can do with this shooting board. One application of this board is that it really helps to improve your planing of end grain. Now, you know that when we plane end grain, sometimes when you plane all the way through, it will chip. But with this board here, you have a piece of wood. You actually have three pieces of wood. You have one bottom, you have one piece on top, which is a little bit thinner, and then you have this little backing piece, which is actually 90 degrees to the edge, and this is where you're going to hold your stock. Because that you have a bottom piece here like this, you slide it to the table, and it will not move. So all you're really doing is you're pushing forward. So we're going to just lay it right across here, and because you have this little edge in the back, now we could actually go and plane it. So you take the hand plane, and you are going to plane it all the way across. You could actually plane a piece of wood all the way so that the blade faces the stop, and you're just going to push it all the way through, just like that. And you're going to slide the piece of wood slowly forward, taking a little bit at a time. Plane it. So you take the hand plane, and you are going to plane it all the way across. You could actually plane a piece of wood all the way down without chipping. And when you're finished with it, it looks something like this. Really, really nice. And you're going to get a 90-degree angle perfect. Now, the next thing that you could do with the shooting board, or this jig, is you can actually cut on it. So if I have this piece of wood I need to cut exactly straight here, okay, I need to take my saw, and the saw actually will rest right on top of this little piece of wood right here, and it will help it. So let's say I want to put it right against it, all right, and then I'm going to lift it up a little bit, slide my saw against the edge, and then slowly make a cut. Okay, with that knowledge, now we are going to show you how to make one. So today we're going to show you how to make this shooting jig. Now, the material that you're going to need are a piece of MDF or a piece of plywood. And the reason why you need them is because it's really dimensionally stable. This thing is really dead flat. And that's what you want. A piece of plywood would be very, very nice. And it also is very, very flat. You're going to need a piece of wood that measures 12 by 13, which this one here does, and it's 3/4 inches thick. Now, you're also going to need another piece of wood, which is a 1/2 inch thick. This is another piece of plywood. This one measures a 1/2 inch by 9 by 13, okay? And two small pieces of wood. This one measures 1.5 inches by 13, or I'm sorry, by 12, and this one here measures 1 3/4 by 9 inches, and it's about 1 inch thick. You can use a little thinner one if you like, but I like mine a little thicker because this way it can put the piece of wood on top and you can see it. All right, so if it's 3/4, it'll just be right here. If it's a little bit higher, you can see above the edge. Now, to put this together, it's very, very simple. The first thing you need to do is, you gotta make sure that this edge is nice and straight. So either you plane it or it has to be straight, and we're going to mount it onto the board, just like this. We're gonna glue right on. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna put glue on the bottom. And you can either use white glue, this is regular Elmer's wood glue that you find in your house, which is your all-purpose glue, but I like to use a carpenter's glue, which is this Type-On 2, which is really, really nice, and it dries very quickly. So first thing to do is you're going to spread the glue out. You don't need a lot. And then you're going to position it right against the edge, like so. Now we're going to screw this onto the board, so the next thing is we are going to clamp it down so it doesn't move. So we take a clamp and we clamp it to the table. Okay, we can show the edges there. And we're going to drill a hole. Okay, with countersinking bit, because we want the screws to go all the way down. To hide the screws. Okay, we're going to put 2 in first. Now, if you don't have a pneumatic screwdriver, you can do this by hand still. Okay, then we're going to put 2 on top. Next, we are going to glue the bottom piece on. Now, I clamp it so that it doesn't move on me while I screw it. This way I can get it just in the right spot. Okay, drill it. I'll put one more in the middle. Okay, Now the bottom is done, and you can see how the bottom fits here like this. So all you have to do is just slide against the table, or you can just see how it goes just like that. Now we're going to put the top on, and the top part looks something like this. So here you have this piece, but I'm going to do something, and I'm going to cut a little chamfer on the edge here so that it also will let me see the wood as it comes out. It's going to go right into back here. Now you want this thing extended just a little bit forward. So let me just show it to you in a second. Now you want this piece to just stick out a little bit past this edge, and this way when we plane it down later, it will be flushed. So the first thing is we need to drill a hole here. So this piece of wood is 1.25 inches. We're going to need about 1.5 inches. So we're just going to move it out a little bit. And then we're going to screw it right in. Okay. Now, this thing still moves, it slides, because we have to adjust it. We have to make it 90 degrees. So we have to make this 90 degrees. And the only way you make it 90 degrees is you need to get a square. Put a square right against this edge here. Okay. So you take your square, any square that you know that it is perfect. And I know this one is perfect, so I'm going to put it right against here like that. As you can see, you just lay it right across. Looks something like that. Now I'm going to take my square and I'm going to put it right against the edge. We know that this thing is not screwed in yet, and we don't glue it because in case we have to change it, we could. So you put your square right against there, and I know this square is 90 degrees. Then you need to just clamp it. So I'm going to clamp it, or if you don't have a clamp, you're going to have to actually hold on to it until you screw it in. So we're going to clamp it, make sure it doesn't move, because I know my square is good. And then you can see how this is done. And since it's not moving, then we put a screw right here. Some people put wax in their screw to make it go in easier. I don't have to. Okay, and let's check it again one more time. Okay, that should be it. All right, now we're going to see how good this thing works. So you're going to need your piece of wood, you're going to need a hand plane, and you're going to need your square. So we're going to slide against the edge here. Okay, you are going to, let's just use this end because it's nice and straight. We're going to plane it right across. And we're going to try to reference it to that edge. So we're going to slide it here, hold it. We're going to look at it, we're going to check it. There we have it. It is done. And if we want to cut a piece of wood on here, need a saw. We're going to use this little edge here, hold it against it, so slide against the edge. You're going to press it against it. Before you get to the very end, I pull it out just a little bit so I don't hit that edge. And you have a very, very nice cut, just like that. Okay, that's how you make a shooting board. So I hope you had a good lesson today, and we'll see you again. Take care.